Fallen tree removal cost guide. In this very quick video, we're going to have a look obviously at the cost of removing a fallen tree. So not only the average cost, but the cost per tree size and trunk diameter. But we're also going to look at a few other important things that you might not thought of, such as whose responsibility is it when a tree falls? If it's from your neighbor's house to yours, vice versa, just on your property, can you claim it on insurance? What if it's during a hurricane? How do you save money on fallen tree removal? So the good news is fallen trees are about half the price of, or sometimes even less, of removing a regular tree that is still upright. The reason being, the hardest part of removing a tree is actually getting it down safely onto the ground. Once it's down on the ground, the tree services can come in, chop it up quite quickly and remove it. But if it is in an emergency situation, they can charge you 3, 4, 5 times as much. So we're going to show you a way to get around that. So first up, the average cost, and this was taken over the last 12 months in the US for fallen tree removal, was $622. Now that is within an average range of $150 to $1,900. So you can see there's a fairly large price range there. So let's break it down to tree size. So we've got a table here. If you're just listening, I'll quickly go through the table now. So we've got it in three different categories and a price. So we've got the tree height and the trunk diameter. And another thing that is going to affect price greatly is access to the tree. So you can imagine if your tree is in a front yard, it's going to cost a lot less than a tree in a backyard with poor access. Imagine the tree service needs to go through a tight side gate and walk everything by hand out the front. It's very different to being able to back the truck right up to the tree. So it's more manpower and it will cost more money. So a 15-foot tree with a 4-inch diameter would be $150 with good access, or $190 or maybe around $200 with poor access. A 25-foot tree with a 10-inch trunk diameter, $410 for good access, $590 for poor access. And then the next two are probably your medium to large trees. So 35-foot tree, 18 inches good access, probably about $900 to $1,400 for poor access, and a huge 50-foot tree, 30-inch diameter trunk, would probably be $1,400 to $2,000, $2,500. Now these are trees that have fallen. They're not an emergency situation. That we'll get to in a minute. These are just trees that have fallen over in your yard. They're just sitting there, and you can take your time getting prices and get the best price. Obviously, if it's come down in a hurricane, or during a storm at night, and it's an emergency, it's on your house, the prices definitely will vary from this. They'll go up greatly. So firstly, who's responsible? Now, if a tree falls from your yard into your neighbor's side, it is your responsibility, and vice versa. If a tree falls from their side over a fence or onto your house or whatever, they are, or whoever's property the tree resided on or started on, fell from, that's who's responsible for the cleanup. Everyone has relationships with their neighbors. We all know the more or less economics of our neighbors. Some are able to do things more than others. Look, you guys can work it out yourself, but as far as the law goes, it is whoever has a tree on their property is responsible for its removal once it's fallen. Now, is a fallen tree covered by homeowners insurance? This will depend. So just say you've got a dead tree that's been standing in your backyard for a few years and it's fallen over. Now, an insurance company will see that as neglect, and it should have been removed before, because obviously when a tree dies, the only thing anchoring it to the ground are its roots. Once those roots rot away, it's just a telegraph pole with no real grounding, and it's eventually going to come over. Where it gets a bit dicey is if it falls into your house or falls over a fence and something's damaged. you might be able to claim it. It will depend on the insurance company. But if a healthy tree has fallen, dropped a branch, or anything like that on your place, just in the backyard, you should be able to claim it, especially if it's fallen. But any tree that falls over, as long as it's kind of sort of unexpected, you should be able to claim it on homeowners insurance. Obviously, depending on the type of cover you have, but the odds are definitely in your favor. So if it's fallen in a hurricane, you should definitely be covered. Now, trees that come down in hurricanes or in storms, what's considered kind of an emergency job. And even any other tree, just say it falls in your house, over power lines, blocking your driveway, it's a bit of an emergency. Now, people's first reaction is, we need to call a tree service to get rid of this. If you do that, a tree service would have to drop everything to help you if it's just in a normal situation. If it's in after a hurricane, tree services are flat out for weeks, if not months, cleaning up trees. You are going to pay a lot more for the removal of the tree. So what you're best doing, if the tree is in a situation, so you can see here this tree looks like it's just fallen over. It doesn't look like any other trees are, so it's just fallen over by itself. So in a situation like this, I would call emergency services. So each state has an emergency service. Anything that's is an emergency, I'd call them first. What they will do is they'll come out, they'll cut the tree, and get it on the ground and in a safe, they'll make it safe basically. So they'll get it off your house, they'll get it from off your car, your driveway, off power lines, that type of thing. Once it's on the ground and safe, you can then take your time calling tree services. But if you call the tree service, 24-hour service on a Sunday and said, look, a tree's just fallen in my house, I need it gone now, they are going to charge you 2, 3, 4 times as much just to drop everything, drop what they're doing and come out. So what you need to do is look at getting it safe first and then take your time to get the tree removed. Okay guys, that's it from me. Thanks for watching and listening. If you were after prices on removing your fallen tree, I do suggest you take advantage of our free service. We actually match local tree services with customers, and it's all based on the votes of customers. Hundreds of previous customers in all cities in the US have voted on who is best priced now. And who gave the best quality service. So it's a bit of a lucky dip sometimes searching online, but going through us, we've vetted everyone, everyone's qualified, everyone's insured, and they've all been voted as being great tradesmen and having good prices. So yeah, that's half the battle there. Best of luck with your tree job. This is Ben.